Meeting has begun.
Good morning, folks, and welcome to Northwest NWACUHO's First Friday webinar for this January 2016. My name is Kate Flowers, and I'm one of the co-chairs for the Professional Development Committee, and we're very excited to have you as we lead up to our annual conference. And we're going to take this opportunity to talk about connecting with Northwest NWACUHO committees, which are those folks who are volunteers and want to do service to their region and get involved and connected. So we're going to go over what they are and how you can get involved. But first, I'm going to ask all of our committee chairs to introduce themselves because we are all presenting together today, which is great. So I'm Kate Flowers again, and I'm going to let Lauren take it next.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this Friday. I am Lauren Adams, and I'm here at the University of Washington, Seattle. I am the Membership Engagement Committee Chair member. We will talk more about each committee as we go through the slides today, but if you have any questions after the presentation, by all means send me an email or ask away in the comment section. Type away. Nice to meet you all.
And then we'll hit it over to Brock.
And I'm Brock Sieb, calling from Eastern Washington University, and I am the chair of the Communications Committee.
All right, and hi again, everyone. This is Laura Lambeth. I'm calling from Oregon State University, where I work in housing operations, and Kate and I co-chair the Professional Development Committee.
Well, thank you all. It's a great group this morning, and we have had a lot of fun this year and preparing this presentation for you. And really, we're just wanting to encourage folks to be involved. Committees are a great way to work involvement into your week in a very reasonable way, as well as just to get connected. We've all been involved for varying amounts of time, and but it's been great to meet everyone and start those friendships. So. I realized I didn't say I am from the University of Washington, Kate Flowers. And so Northwest NWACUHO committees, these are groups that anyone can get involved with who's in the region. It's very simple to get involved, and we'll talk about that at the end. But what we do is we each have sort of objectives put together by the executive board that looks at, this is what are some values and some goals that we'd love to have happen over the next year or between the time of the conference to make sure people are involved and active in the organization. And so the committee chairs, there's a chair or co-chair for each committee, and we work to achieve actionable outcomes throughout the course of the year so that folks can continue to feel involved, get information, and connect and continue to develop as professionals. So some things, we'll go into each group, we'll talk about their year-end report. So some things that they did this year that has really enriched things and some goals for next year. But we all are responsible for things such as this, the First Friday webinars, new professional mentorship program, and drive-in conferences, and so many more things. So we'll go over that. And as a member, again, it provides you a great opportunity to get involved in the region. We do a lot of conference calls, but it's the way that I met folks in the region. I came from another region about 5 years ago, and it's been a great way outside of the conference, because I can't always go. I don't always have funding, to be able to have that call every month and get to know folks and just start to feel like there's a community beyond the people that I see every day in my workplace. It is a volunteer basis, so it really is, it can become whatever you want it to be. It is a create your own adventure, but it's a great way to just collaborate on and get inspired by other people that you're working with. And so, and then each committee has a chair or co-chairs, and we try to just lead the charge and keep folks engaged and excited about what they're doing, and try to, create some projects collaboratively that folks will get excited about. So I am going to hand it over to Laura to talk about why you should join.
Well, I'll share a little bit, too, that when I first came into the Northwest NWACUHO region as a new professional, I didn't realize that there were professional associations for folks that worked in housing. So for me, Northwest NWACUHO became a place where I started to understand professional norms. And so one of the things that committees can offer for anyone who's interested is a way to try things outside of your current position. So if you're a resident director, perhaps you get to work on a project that's a little bit outside of the scope of your day-to-day job. Additionally, a lot of our committee projects and activities and communication are transferable. So the things that you might do in a committee are transferable to other aspects of working in housing. They might fall in line with your career goals if that's not within our region or our field. So a lot of the experience and skills are a sort of resume builder. So some of the examples that we have, we'll go over our specific committee projects, but things like planning a drive-in or working on a conference are something that you don't always get an opportunity to do at your own institution. Additionally, we have different technology use and testing. We're always trying new things. And so enabling our committee members to try new skills or to really get input to try new ideas is something that is a strength of our committee. So you're able to build on your resume and build on your passion or your interest levels in things that might be new to you, or they might be something that you're trying to maintain a skill. Additionally, you're going to get to know a lot of people locally. So within our committees, we typically do calls or we'll use the technology that we're using now to connect with each other virtually or over the phone. That allows us to keep in touch, and honestly, we start our meetings and able to get to know each other and make sure that we're supporting each other through our committees. So Kate and I will check in and ask, how's everyone doing? Is there anything that we can do to support each other or connect each other with a resource or an idea? And so it becomes a good way to get to know other people and maybe even get to know people that are in a role similar to yours at another institution. And finally, we want you to be interested in joining because this complements our work and sessions as an organization that we do at our national conference levels. So if you are involved with a NASPA, an ACPA, in facilities, in advising, you're going to have some complementary work that's within our region and get to know kind of what's going on locally and then be able to complement that with our national level. The next information that we want to make sure that that we're doing as part of our professional development committee really comes down to our purpose. And the purpose for the professional development committee has been to provide professional development opportunities beyond all of our conferences and drive-ins are not included with that, so that we can include all levels and functional areas within our housing profession. So for us, beyond the conference is kind of what we look at. So our first Friday webinars, like this webinar today, we coordinate those monthly webinars and we try to engage with different members and topics so that we can address different functional areas. We also coordinate the drive-in conferences and look at materials that we provide to host institutions or professionals so that we have, again, the ability to complement our annual conference. We also want to make sure that we're creating and updating sustainable tools to make sure that the drive-ins happen frequently. And so we're starting to create some goals around what that looks like for us in the future. We also look at our pre-conferences. So if you're interested in going to our Anchorage conference, we have a lot of opportunities available for participants to look at some training or connecting with some of our speakers, or maybe there's some sessions that have to do with the area that the conference will be in. And so there are a lot of opportunities to plan extra events in order to meet other goals of connecting people or making sure that there's good training provided. And finally, one of our purposes is to really just do a needs assessment and really understand what sort of ideas our membership has about what we can provide as an organization, as a professional organization. And sometimes that ranges by functional area and professional experience. And sometimes it's just saying, hey, this is an issue we see in the Northwest. Sometimes we have seen themes come up. For example, I know I saw a lot more around the legalization of marijuana as Washington and Oregon started to see that in their higher education institutions and understanding what that looked like for the different professionals we have in the region. That's something that we try to take into account when it comes to the different aspects of what we do and what we provide, is just even asking the question, what do people need? So finally, for the Professional Development Committee, I'll have Kate talk about some of our current accomplishments that we've been working on.
Thank you, Laura. So we've had a very busy year. Of course, for the Professional Development Committee, we are keeping the First Friday webinars going for all of our folks, and continually looking for some great presenters and exciting ways to make them relevant to everyone. We've had some record attendance this year, specifically around a lot of our operations-based webinars, which has been a very cool section to involve, get in touch with those people, and connect through the webinars. So some great ones around resident eco move out. And that was just incredible because it was one of the first times we had students present a webinar, which was wonderful, about the things that they're doing at the university. Lessons from the middle, the unspoken competencies of the mid-level manager, which actually was our committee chair, Lauren Adams, who did that one, who actually was the best of the Northwest. So we try to always get our best of the Northwest winner on and do a webinar, and she did just a fantastic job. It was a really fun time. Looking at the end of the year move out process, as well as managing complexity of the ADA accommodations. Some great things that happened this year is that one of the board members, Brian Carrick, worked very hard to get all of our past webinars, which we record on the Northwest NWACUHO YouTube channel. So we've now made them much more accessible to anyone as they're kind of looking for and can look back to different presentations. We started a partnership with the Communications Committee, and if you aren't on Twitter right now, basically during all of our webinars, we chat with the hashtag Northwest Chat. And so trying to get that going during the webinars as much as possible, as well as just kind of being able to engage with the Communications Committee around that. And then a group of us has been assisting the first pre-conference, the inaugural pre-conference for this next conference in 2016, which was kind of the brainchild of Catherine Merger. And so it's been really fun to work with the board and try to support doing that and kind of see how that's going to work this year. As well as, there's been one of our committees has worked very hard on starting to think about this this assessment tool and what that looks at. So they have been working with some materials from another region in the United States and looking what they're doing and starting to compile this as well as make it accessible and an actual helpful tool for our region.
And some of the goals that Kate and I have been working on with our committee, and also hearing from the board of what the executive board would like to see, is our goals for 2016 include a couple of things, and we've highlighted a few here, where 2 of our drive-in conferences are kind of in the works. So we'd like to have 2 drive-in conferences, so little regional aspects of some sort of professional development. In the past, that's been a functional area, or moving to a middle management sort of drive-in after looking at the interest from entry-level positions and really getting some good insight of what that move would look like. We've also had a goal of doing this assessment tool launch, which Kate has talked about. We've also talked quite a bit about how can we get people involved in a way that suits their schedule and their current needs. So for our committee, we really want to get a good grasp of how many hours we anticipate a project or task to take, so that people who are interested in getting involved know if that's something they can help with. So we always get so much enthusiasm, and we love to see that, and we want to make sure that we can continually set up committee members for success. So if we're able to say, this should take this many hours a week, or this should be the month that you should expect a higher flow of work because of this project, that gives people who are interested a better chance of being successful and feeling like they had transparency from the beginning of the process with the committee. So that's something that we're looking forward to refining with our committee this year.
So we're going to pass it over to Brock to talk about the Communications Committee.
Hello again. My name is Brock, the chair of the Communications Committee. And so the Communications Committee is really here to, I guess, help encourage the level of communication outside of the actual in-person conferences that we have. We do this through mostly social media and the listserv, but we're also, as you're going to find out, really ramping up our efforts towards making the Soundings blog a much more robust initiative. So some of the projects that we work on, managing and kind of overseeing the listserv. So this means all of the people who are struggling to get onto the listserv and all of that, we help kind of make that happen, and then also moderate what goes through the listserv. So if you have any things that you would like to send out to the region through the listserv, contact me and I can let you know how to do that. We have also really been focusing on trying to build toolkits to act as how-to guides for how to better use some of the technology we are using here in the region. In the past, we've done some toolkits on how to use Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of those social medias. We're in the process of making one for Meeting One, which is the user or the interface that we're using right now for this meeting. And then outside of that, we're also working on the Soundings blog. So we assist with some of the board members in, I guess, soliciting information and content to go through that blog. So that's something that, while we don't manage the actual blog itself, we're really trying to push to help get more content to be available through that. And then also really looking at access information. So we were just talking about how some of the drive-ins and some of the other webinars have focused around different functional areas within I guess, housing as a whole or residence life as a whole. And so we're looking at how we can reach out to get some of those other, I guess, components of our region that don't necessarily fall under the specific building management or residential life aspects, and how we can make sure that they're also included within our region. So then going on toward our current accomplishments, this past year, we were able to finish up our advanced social media toolkit, which that's the cover picture right there below. So that's something that's available through the website, along with our entry-level social media 1.0 toolkit, just to give some people information on how to better use some of the social medias and technologies that we incorporate. We've also been working, some of you may have responded back to our social media survey to figure out what methods our, I guess, constituents are actually using to be connected through social media. And that way we can really target our efforts toward Facebook being the #1 choice of use between all of our membership, and really making sure that, I guess, our efforts are going toward what people are using instead of kind of the mass approach that we had been taking before. We've also worked a little bit with website review, and then that means that we're connected with the technology director to provide some of the information back of, it looks like this link might be broken now, or there might be some updates that need to happen. So that's something that we've done, as well as start researching how some of the other regions are focusing their websites to see if there's something that maybe we can also utilize that they're doing. So our goals going forward, our big one is to make sure that we are really increasing the collaboration with the board to overall increase the use and submissions to the Sounding blog. So that way people can really be sharing their expertise with the region. Again, making a new toolkit to do an overview for Meeting One, which is where the region is going for our designated online meeting platform. And then researching the social media platforms to make sure that we're really reaching out the way that's going to connect best with our membership. And so then I'm going to pass it over to Lauren to talk about one of our other committees.
Hi everyone, thank you again for joining me and listening a little bit more about the Membership Engagement Committee. I do want to point out that the Membership Engagement Committee is the cherry on top, the icing on the cake of what Laura, Kate, and Brock are already doing. Membership engagement is already inclusive of what they do in the Communications Committee and the Professional Committee. But we want to make sure in the Membership Engagement Committee that folks are having the opportunity to interact with other members within the region and outside of the region, and how they can contribute to Northwest ACUHO as a regional entity, and then if they want to broaden that perspective to our home organization of ACUHO-I. The things that we have worked on this past year, the regional activities. There is a repository of professional development opportunities, a list so far that we've created that gives folks an idea of what you can do outside of Northwest ACUHO and activities within the region that you can participate in. The mentorship program has been in existence way before I was ever a thought in Northwest ACUHO's eye, and it's the opportunity for members to sign up and become a mentor or a mentee, and the commitment to that is really up to the mentor and the mentee, whether that is email or phone conversations. If you like to tweet or Facebook or Skype back and forth, really it's about how much you put into that relationship, and I know that folks have become great friends from that program. Two things that we started this past year, for parents and families and the members mixed connections. For parents and families, we found that after the conference last year that there's a baby boom so far growing in the region, and there are already current parents and families out there. And what resources do we have to provide folks who are entry-level professionals, mid-level professionals, or senior housing officers of how do you navigate having a family, being a parent, and being a part of the student affairs world? And so we like to have some conversations and share some resources with that group. And then the members misconnections was just a fun idea from one of the committee members of, I don't really know that person, and I kind of don't want to sound like an idiot asking them a question, but is there a way that I can send an anonymous question to someone to help me connect? Absolutely, there sure is. And so if there's someone who said something awesome, but you don't quite know their name, but you want to connect with them, email us and we'll make sure you get to the right person. So our current accomplishments, the awareness of other professional development opportunities. I think that we are a great organization as Northwest ACUHO, but there are other opportunities out there for our members. And once we do a great job within our region, we've got to share our awesomeness with everyone else. So we want to make sure our members are learning more about other professional development opportunities. The family and parent survey that was created and administered, I hope folks continue to use that to tell us what resources and thoughts and needs that they have. And then reconnecting members after conferences. You're already connecting when you're at a drive-in or when you're at the national or regional conference, but how do you keep that connection going after the conference is over? Our goals for this coming year, we want to create a new members track for Northwest ACUHO during the annual conference. If you are new to the region and it's your first Northwest ACUHO conference, what sessions should you be going to, which should pique your eye? We like to give you a little semblance of, hey, maybe you should go to this, and point you in the right direction. We want to continue to enhance that mentor-mentee relationship. Again, that's a long-standing effort that the board has made sure that we keep going. So we want to continue. How do we make that go well for the mentors and mentees who are participating? Like Brock, we want to increase our collaboration with the Soundings blog. We want to make sure that the voices of our members, whether they be entry-level or mid-level or senior level, those voices of how they are contributing to their own university or to the region itself, those voices are being heard. And I'd love to create a needs assessment tool to understand the varying professional development levels and needs of members. The presentation that I gave on the unspoken competencies really came from a need of, what is it like to be a mid-level professional? Is there a norm out there? And I learned that I gave my own voice and learned that other people were like, yes, I agree with you. But what are the other needs and levels of members? And so we'd like to continue that with an assessment.
All right, well, this is Laura again. I'm hopping back on because in summary of all the work that we're doing, the committees really do offer a good opportunity for folks to get involved in the region. We want to make sure that if you all have any questions, that we're able to answer what it's like to get involved and what the sort of commitment might be. We also find that after or around the annual conference, we get some great energy and interest. And so in order to prepare for that, and definitely because of this presentation, we have created a committee interest form so that if you're interested in something, let us reach out to you. We'd love to talk to you about what works for you, what sort of ideas you have around this work, and how we might partner together and meet all of the goals of our organization. So what we've created is a Google form, and you will find the link on your screen on the bottom right-hand side where it says Important Links. The very last link says Committee Interest Form. It's just a simple form where you can click on that. It'll take you to a new tab where you can just fill out which committee you'd like more information about. Just fill out your name and your email where we can contact you, and then what your position is, what your institution is, and anything else that you'd like us to know before we contact you. Typically, the commitment for our committees is about 1 to 2 hours a week on average. That can be more around the annual conference or if there are larger projects that we're working on. And we do want folks to have access to a phone or a computer for scheduled committee calls. You do get access to what those calls are in advance. So if you don't have a good space to do phone calls, I'm in a shared office as well, so we realize that's not everyone has that access, but you'll get that that planning in advance so that you can reserve a space or that you can get that equipment. And we also have chair opportunities that are coming up. So if you're interested in that leadership aspect, there are different elements with our committees that we're happy to talk with you about what that looks like, both as a member or as a chair, so that if you have some plans of wanting to be in the region for a while, let us talk to you about how to get involved. All of us that are our chairs, we've been in the region for a little while, and so we'd love to chat with you about what it's like to be in our region in this leadership role. So as we've wrapped up, we want to give some time for anyone that might have any questions. We also have some announcements on the bottom left-hand side of your screen. We do have the link for that interest form. We'd also love to have feedback from you all about these webinars. So if you'll use the link provided in the bottom right-hand side of your screen, it's the feedback form, just to let us know, is this helpful? Is there anything that we could do to provide a better opportunity for you? We also record these webinars, so you can find this webinar soon on our YouTube channel. The link is also provided in our link box. And then remember about our 2016 opportunities. We have the annual conference coming up in February in Anchorage, Alaska. The registration for the conference is open, and if you register by January 16th, which is just a week away, you will get the early bird discount. So make sure that you take a look at that. I also want to let you all know that there are Board of Directors elections coming up. So if there are opportunities that you're interested in, those opportunities are outlined on the NWACUHO web page, and it will talk about each of those different positions. There are 7 in total, and you'll need to get your materials to Eric Lordai, our past president, by January 22nd. Again, we'd like to just throw this open if there's any questions from our participants, and we'll just give a moment for any chat questions via the chat box in the middle of your screen.
It has been a fun morning, folks. A very fun morning. Maybe we've just answered all of your questions, which is quite possible. But, well, thank you, everyone on the call, as well as it's great to have all the committee chairs on the call. So thank you, Lauren and Brock and Laura and myself. So have a wonderful Friday. We wish you well, and please enjoy the weekend.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Bye, thank you.